Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 15 September 2025. So let's get started with our discussion, guys. And let us see the first article, see the title. Center reopens PLI scheme for white goods till October 14th, cites market growth. So what is this article talking about? So this article is talking about two important things. First one is PLI scheme and second one is white goods. Okay. So first one is PLI scheme. Second one is white goods. So if you see the schemes, every year UPSC will ask at least 2 questions in your prelims regarding schemes. So from that point of view, that is very important. And in which subject you will be studying about the schemes, policies of the government? In governance. In GS paper 2 under governance, you can see this. And especially this PLI scheme is even important from your mains, guys, because it is mainly focusing on the economic growth by boosting our manufacturing sector in our country. Okay, so what is this PLI scheme? So what is the full form of this PLI? First of all, it is production linked incentive scheme. So what is this PLI? That is production linked. That means nothing but whenever the companies, they are increasing their production or manufacturing, so for that companies, government will be giving certain incentives. For example, it may be subsidies, it may be giving of loans, like that. So it is mainly focusing on manufacturing sector. Okay, so this scheme which mainly says that if your company is producing more number of units, or whenever there is increasing of manufacturing in your units, and obviously government will be giving certain kind of incentives. So why government will be giving incentives? If you are increasing your production, the important thing here is always this production in our country will be contributing to our GDP. There will be increasing of our GDP, right? So whenever we are producing more, we are also going to export to other countries. So it will also increases our exports. So it will be improving our trade balance. And not only that, because of increasing of production, now it also increases employment opportunities in our country. So we can tackle this unemployment problem also. So because of all these reasons, government came up with this PLI scheme and is extending this PLI scheme to many sectors, especially in our manufacturing sectors, especially in many areas it is increasing. Now it said that it is going to increase this PLI scheme for this white goods. So actually you know about sin goods, right? What are the sin goods or sin products? Is there any recent news regarding the sin goods? What is that news? Yes, in our GST, we came up with this 40% of GST imposed on the sin goods. So can you give me examples of sin goods? Tobacco products, gutka, pan, okay, alcohol, beverages. Okay, so in the same way we have white goods. So do you have any idea about this white goods, what all it covers? So here you may also get one more prelims question here. So they'll give you types of goods on one column and they'll give examples and they'll ask you which of the above pairs are correct or incorrect, or how many pairs are correct or incorrect. So in that way also you may get a question, guys. So you have to know about what exactly the white goods are and why they are called as white goods and what are the examples of this white goods. And it is very, very important from your economy point of view. So now let us see the context. So our central government reopened PLI, that is production linked incentive scheme for white goods, specifically for air conditioners and as well as LED lights. So why we have to focus on LED lights, guys? LED lights. LED, what is the full form of LED? Yes, light emitting diodes. Actually in 2022, there was a question in your prelims. It is asking about difference between LED lights and sodium based lamps. So this was a question in your 2022 main. So whatever the things that you're getting like keywords in your news, so you have to know in detail basics about this. And if it's and if it is advanced form that we are seeing news, you have to see what is earlier form and what are the advantages and disadvantages of this present form and as well as earlier form, because there will be a chance of getting a comparative based question. Okay, so if you see this LEDs, they are nothing but light emitting diodes. What are the advantages of this light emitting diodes? So whatever the bulbs that we are using are based on LED in our home, right? So it will give which color light? Normally white color light. So if you go to earlier, we have like glass bulbs. I don't know whether you know this or not. They will be having a filament inside it, and even that is filled with the gas inside. So even if you touch that, it will be like very warm, and even it will be giving not white light, it will give orange shade or yellow shade light. So the difference between these two lights are nothing but they are like more advanced form, and they consume less amount of electricity, and even that will release less amount of heat also, right? So here why we have to focus on this LED lights is we need electricity, right? We need electricity to switch on or off the light. So without electricity, we can't on the light. So actually, which kind of electricity that we are using in our country, from where we are producing it? So we are producing electricity, mainly 70% of our electricity consumption, that is mainly from coal. So we are preparing electricity from coal, and in our country, the important sources of electricity are hydroelectricity, we have thermal electricity, and very small amount of wind electricity or wind energy, and even geothermal energy we are using. So out of that, the most important contribution that is from coal. So is that coal is producing a clean energy or clean electricity? No. So we have to burn at a very high temperature, and because of this, it is made up of carbon, right? Coal is made up of carbon. So that will leads to increasing of carbon dioxide emissions into atmosphere. So because of this, what happened? It will leads to global warming. It will leads to climate change. So actually our India, our country is having a target of decreasing of carbon dioxide emissions and to become net zero country by 2070. So if you want to achieve this target, we have to reduce this electricity which is made up of coal. So here why we are producing more amount of electricity from this coal? Because of there is increased demand of electricity. Nowadays every home is having its own electronic appliances. Without electronic appliances, we are not running our daily life, right? So there is increased demand. So if there is increased demand, we have to burn more amount of coal. That will leads to further more global warming, further more climate change, so that we can't achieve our target. So here because of that, we shifted from this towards LED, so that they consume less amount of electricity and there will be decreasing of demand for electricity. That is the reason. And for this, government also came up with one program called as uh, PM Ujala PM Ujala Yojana. So actually we have one more scheme called as PM Ujjwala Yojana. So two words, they look similar, but Ujjwala is about providing of LPG cylinders to BPL families. And this scheme is also focusing on reducing of carbon dioxide emissions, because when we go for cooking of our food by using this firewood, traditionally in rural areas, even today they cook their food on the firewood, right? So if you're burning firewood, again it will release carbon dioxide emissions, you can get soot, whatever it may be, it will leads to global warming. So to decrease that and to improve the health of women and children who are mainly suffered because of this firewood related things, so government came up with this providing of subsidized LPG cylinders for this BPL families, and government came up with this Ujala Yojana for promoting of LEDs in our country. So in this way, you have to connect everything, guys. Okay, yeah. Now, like next one here, if you see the details, it is saying that what are these white goods? So these white goods are traditionally referred to large home appliances, and these are like stoves, refrigerators, freezers, washing machines, etc. And such goods are only available in white, hence the designation. So normally if you see this refrigerators, normally we have inside part is entirely white in color, and even washing machines also we can see white in color. So because of this color of this items, we are calling it as white goods, and they are large home appliances that we'll use in our daily life. And today these same goods are offered in an array of colors, but still they are collectively referred as white goods. And nowadays, normally, if you see the stoves, traditionally we used to use steel-based stoves, but now it is entirely black. Our platform, kitchen platform is black, and here even we have the stoves which are of black in color, and that is like increased craze for that kind of stoves now. So even though there is different colors, earlier if you see these refrigerators, in my childhood, like around 2000s or 1998 time, at that time refrigerators are there in that very old model with of white color or light pasted colors only. But now you are getting whatever the color you want, you can customize and you can make them ready, right? So overall, even though now today the colors have been changed, we are collectively calling them as white goods itself. Okay, yeah. So if you see what is the impact of this decision of government, so because of this decision of expanding this PLI scheme for this white goods, obviously we can increase production of these goods in our country. That is nothing but we can improve domestic manufacturing. And not only that, we can reduce our import dependency, and overall we can improve our supply chains also regarding this white goods. And actually, whenever government is extending this PLI scheme for this white goods, now we can also attract investments in this white goods sector now. So because of this, we can increase our investments, we can also go for technological advancements in this, and even we can upgrade our product quality as well. And this one here is we can also enhance our domestic value addition, and we can say that we can increase roughly 20 to 80 percentage of lifetime of these products if you are upgrading technology as well. Okay, and it is also helpful for our Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is nothing but made in India concept or self-reliance in this white goods now. Okay, and now let us see the next article. See the title, guys, very important article of the day. Case pendency continues to plague the Supreme Court as backlog hits all-time high of 88,417 cases. So what is this article talking about? What is the keyword? Keyword is pendency of cases, right? So this article is talking about pendency of cases in SC, Supreme Court. So if you see judiciary in India, we have independent and as well as integrated judicial system in our country. Top court in our country is Supreme Court. Top court in each state is High Court, and we have subordinate courts or district courts. And in this district courts, we have two types again. You have to see this. First one is civil court, which deals with civil cases. Next one is criminal or sessions court, and this court will be dealing with criminal cases. So if you have any criminal case or if you want to fight against that, you have to go to criminal court or session court. If you have any issue with the civils is nothing but laws, rules, regulations, then you can go to the civil courts. So this is about the court system or judiciary in our country. So at each level there is pendency of cases. Okay, and there are less pendent cases or less cases your pendency in the Supreme Court, and here we have more. So if top to down, the number of pendency of the cases increasing. And recently I gave the data also to make a note about this, how many cases are pendency in this High Court, Supreme Court, and as well as district courts. If you have wrote that, it's okay. If you didn't make a note of that, so please correct the data of how many cases are like pendent in these areas. Okay, now let us see this article. So here what exactly you have to see. So is this pendency of cases good for our country? Why? Because justice delayed is called as justice denied. So whenever there is increasing of pendency of cases, will these people get the justice on time? No. So because of this, there will be lots of issues between the people and as well as judiciary regarding trust. There will be increasing of trust deficit. Okay, whenever there is increasing of pendency of cases, will these crimes can be curtailed or not? Can we decrease these crimes? No, obviously if there is increasing of pendency, there will be increasing of crimes will also happen. And now you guys, you have to think why this pendency is happening. What is the reason behind it? And you have to see what are the measures can be taken to control this pendency of cases. And even you have to see what all are the steps already taken by this government of India to control this pendency of cases so far. So in this way you will be getting question, and you can add this data while you are writing your introduction of answer whenever you are writing about this delaying of justice in our country. Okay, and this topic is very important from your GS paper to under polity. In your polity notes at the back side, please make note of this data, like how many cases, around 88,000 cases are in pendency in this Supreme Court. Like that you can make a note of this data. Or else whenever you clear your prelims, and after clearing of your prelims, whenever you are revising this mains topics, then also you can write this data, updated data. Okay. So now let us see the context, guys. This article is saying that case pendency at the Supreme Court of India has surged to unprecedented high. Now we have around 88,417 cases as of August, September 2025. So it is mainly reflecting that our country's judiciary system or justice delivery system is having lots of crises because of this increased pendency of cases. Okay, so here this article is saying that just in 1 month, 930 cases had been increased. Just in this 1 month, 930, you can see how many crimes are happening in our country. And this one is since May 2025, the pendency has climbed steadily due to new case registrations consistently. So here, because of raised awareness among the people, because of raised science and technology, because of emerging of new crimes day by day, there is increasing of case registrations. So you have to see what are the reasons why there is increasing of case registrations. So earlier it is very difficult for the people to approach the Supreme Court, right? But now, yes, we have different online platforms. Through these online platforms, we can easily connect the lawyers, and we can easily do this documentation form, and we can easily file the cases. And even there is increased awareness about PIL. What is this PIL? Public interest litigation. So if there is any project, if there is any larger public issue is going on, easily you can file a PIL. Just you can drop a letter in this post box. So because of this also there is increasing of pendency of cases. And one more important reason that we have to see is actually this rise of pendency of cases started from 2019. What happened in this 2019 in our country? National wide imposition of lockdown, COVID-19 pandemic. So because of all these things, the work had been shifted from office to work from home. So even that happened with this judiciary also. So because of that COVID-19, that led to change in this normal court operations, and even that led to increasing of online base for this filing of cases at that time. So because of this, what happened? The types of cases increased and number of unregistered cases had been increased, and even defective matters also had been increased. Overall, that led to increased pendency of cases. And why there is that much backlog in our country, especially in the Supreme Court? So how many judges were there at present in Supreme Court? 30? Okay, so at present we have only 34 judges of the Supreme Court, and they are facing expansion of population, right? So as you all know that India already crossed China, and official details we didn't get so far, but UNFPA already said that India is the largest populous country in the world. So there is increasing of population. What happened? Fighting for the resources. Yes, and because of this fighting for resources, there will be number of increasing of civil as well as criminal cases. So here, the reason here is there is expansion of population. So because of expansion of population obviously it will leads to increasing of number of cases. And this one is literacy rate is increasing or decreasing, especially South India is most literate states in compared to that of North Indian states. But even though overall literacy rate had been increased since independence time, right? And recently we discussed one article regarding Himachal Pradesh. What is that? So at the time of independence or in 1947, what is the literacy rate of Himachal Pradesh? Just 7%. Now it is fully literate state and is the fourth literate state in our country. So literacy rate had been increased. And this one is there is rapid economic growth, and because of this there is more litigation of cases. And this one is the number of new cases filed often exceeds the court's capacity, and court is not able to dispose all those cases because of fewer benches that we have. And next one here is Government litigation remains a major contributor. So mostly whatever the cases will come on, they'll go on appealing from one court to another court like that. And even they will go for judicial review on the same judgment. So because of this also, there is increasing of pendency of cases. And this one is obviously we have frequent adjournments, administrative insufficiency, lack of infrastructure, complexity of cases. And actually the problem here is the new crimes are emerging day by day. But to deal with that new crimes, there is no proper laws in our country. So because of this, we are on that work of updating of our old outdated laws with the new laws. So recently we discussed about Ports Bill of 2025, which is replacing British colonial period law. So like that, even IPC, CRPC are of Britishers' time, and now we came up with this BNS, BNSS like that, right? So here we don't have proper laws to address that new trend of cases. That is also one important problem that we have. And this one is COVID related disruptions caused a spike in that system, which has not recovered till today. So the pendency started from that time, guys. Okay, and what is the impact of pendency of cases? The first one is there will be delay in justice delivery. So because of this, many citizens, they will be getting delay from this getting of judicial remedies. That will lead to erosion of constitutional guarantees. And always we have to focus on this, that is justice delayed is justice denied. And not only that, whenever there is no proper justice delivery which is happening, so what happens is about the prisoners in our jails? So the number of these prisoners will be increased. That will lead to overcrowding. So almost most of the jails in our countries, they are having more number of prisoners than compared to that original capacity of that jail. So that is also an important problem that we are facing in our country. And this one is long pending business disputes discourage investments. So if there is any case regarding business, for example, any MNC company, then what happened if it takes like 10 years or 12 years? In these 10 to 12 years, there will be lots of loss for that company and as well as for our country, our GDP, right? So that will be also one impact. It will hamper ease of doing business. Other country people will not be interested to start business in our country. And this one is, it will also lead to social injustice, especially marginalized people, they suffer the most. And this one is erosion of trust, as I said. And even what happens if there is increasing of pendency of cases, ultimately these judges, they have to deliver this justice. So that will lead to increasing of burden on this judiciary itself, on this judges itself. So this will be the impact, okay? And now let us see the next article. See the title, Kerala to launch 3-phase campaign to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. So what is the keyword here? Keyword is human-wildlife conflict. What is this human-wildlife conflict? So humans, you can see this image. So these elephants are coming and they are trying to attack this car in this image. That means this wildlife, they are coming outside of their habitats and they start coming in conflict. Conflict is nothing but fighting between human and wildlife. So why this human wildlife conflict is happening? Day by day, we are going into this place of animals, right? So we are destructing these habitats of these animals. Especially we are going for developmental projects, deforestation, exploitation of resources, mining activities, and we are going for increasing of our agriculture lands. So because of all these things, daily the habitats of this wild animals is decreasing day by day. So because of this, they will be not getting proper food, proper water, whatever they need in that small habitats. And now they'll come outside of their habitats. So outside of habitats, we will live. So they'll come in conflict with us. So that is as simple as this. Okay. So now here this article is saying that Kerala government is going to launch 3-phase campaign to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. So actually they are going to launch around 45 days mitigation program and they're going to begin from September 16 to tackle this human-wildlife conflict. So actually in this Kerala region, there is increased incidence of human and animal conflict. That is especially elephant is trying to attack this humans. So in many movies also they'll show that elephants will come and elephants will be feeding on their crops and even elephant will be coming and attacking the people like that. So the same thing which is happening in the state of Kerala because of especially mining. Mining is one important reason in this Kerala that is leading to this human animal conflict. So now they are focusing on especially campaign. So what they'll do in this campaign, especially they'll focusing on awareness in this village areas, especially they are including 300 gram panchayats, because these 300 gram panchayats have been affected because of this elephant conflict, and around 273 gram panchayats are reporting frequent incidents, and especially in these 30 local bodies have been identified as a critical hotspots of this human animal conflict case. Okay, and actually they are saying that crop loss is happening, delayed compensation is happening, safety is not there, safety related threats are there, and there are other difficulties caused by wild animal incursions. So because of this they want to coordinate with this people's representatives to collect and to document the complaints, and after once data collection is completed, and in the second phase they are going for resolving of issues. So they are coming with these three phases, right? In the first phase they will be coordinating these areas and they will be collecting which kind of complaints they have. Once the data collection is completed in the phase 2, they'll focus on what kind of solutions that we can come up to resolve this issue at local level. And next phase here is they will be focusing on especially resolving of complex and persistent issues that remain unsettled after these first two phases. Okay, so how you can use this article? Why I took this article for the discussion? The main reason is in your ethics you have case studies, guys. Especially in your ethics, there is one topic called as environmental ethics. How we are balancing environment and development. Because nowadays, without development, we can't achieve our government of India's target. But if we want to go focus on only development, it will be having impact on environment. So for the balancing of that, we have a topic called as environmental ethics. So in that, you may get this exactly this kind of case studies. So you're appointed as a district magistrate in that so and so district where you have frequent human animal conflicts, especially elephant related incidents are increasing. So people are coming and complaining about the crop loss, animal loss, or land loss, or loss of life, safety issues like that. So as a district collector, what kind of solutions that you can come up in that? So here you can add this as recently Kerala government came up with this three-phased campaign to mitigate. So the same way we can also run that kind of campaign so that we can address this long-standing issue. So like that you have to see this article. So once the class done, so please take out this newspaper here and please make out these three phases what they are doing. And even this article is important from your environment and ecology from GS paper 3. So there you will be getting current affairs based mains questions, guys. Okay. Yeah, now let us see the next article. See the title. PM inaugurates India's first bamboo based ethanol plant. Very, very important. So what is ethanol? Ethanol is nothing but alcohol, right? So why we need this ethanol now? So what is the ambitious program of our government? Anyone? 20% of ethanol blended petrol, right? So petrol and diesel, they are fossil fuels, right? So we make those petrol and diesel from crude oil by using this fractional distillation method. And you know about petrol. So normally whatever the two-wheelers or four-wheelers we are using, they are mainly run by this petrol. So if you run by this fossil fuels, actually the problem with this petrol, it is not completely burnt in whatever the engines that we are using in a vehicle. So because of this, we can get soot. There's nothing but black color powder that is called as PM 2.5 and PM 10 into our atmosphere. That is not good. So if you want to make this completely burnt, we have to add alcohol that is called as ethanol. And India is having a target of 20% of ethanol blend petrol. Okay, so there are lots of advantages of blending of 20%. That means nothing but if you take 100 ml, okay, if you take 100 ml, in that 80 ml will be petrol and 20 ml will be ethanol. That means we are adding 20% of ethanol in this petrol. So do we have any advantages? First one is we have environment related advantages, like we can decrease the pollution, we can decrease release of PM 2.5 and PM 10, and we can ensure complete burning of this petrol. And next important advantage here is, do we have crude oil reserves in our country? Very, very less. And from which country we are importing more? From Russia we are importing more. So we can decrease our imports, right? So if you are making ethanol in our country, so ethanol is nothing but from the waste products, from the waste agriculture products, that we can make this ethanol easily. That is nothing but through fermentation process. Do you know this molasses? So in the making of this sugar cane to jaggery process, we'll take out the juice of the sugar cane, right? So what are the waste we have that is called as molasses? From that waste also we can go for fermentation, we can produce this ethanol. So it is very easy for making of ethanol in our country, and we can blend or we can mix it with the petrol, so that we can also reduce our import dependency on other countries to some extent, not completely but to some extent. And any other advantages? So if you are producing ethanol in our country, we have to maintain, or we have to come with the manufacturing units. Those manufacturing units obviously will create employment opportunities, and that will be also contribute to our GDP, right? So in that way we have economy related advantages, geography related advantages, and we can also reduce our agriculture waste also. So actually every year in this winter season in Delhi, what will be their news? Air quality is very bad, and even most of the pollution. One important reason for the pollution in this Delhi is stubble burning. That is nothing but burning of crop residue or crop waste. So if you are diverting that waste into this ethanol blending units, can we control that indirect pollution also? Yes, so we have lots of advantages. So now let us see this article, and please make a note. So it is India's first bamboo-based ethanol plant. So here we are going to use only bamboo here. What is a bamboo? It is type of, not stick exactly. So what are the use of bamboo? So today's work, so see what is this bamboo, whether it is a plant or whether it is a grass, because recently there was some change made by the government of India. So see whether it is a grass or whether it is a plant, and you have to see what is the status of this bamboo, and bamboo cultivation is done in which states of our country. So see that, because there is a very high chance of getting question regarding bamboo this year, because it is India's first ever bamboo based ethanol plants. Okay, so where they are inaugurating, it is in Assam. Please make a note. In Assam, our Prime Minister inaugurated first bamboo-based ethanol plant. Very, very important current affairs case. Okay, Prime Minister has inaugurated India's first bamboo-based ethanol plant in Assam. And through this, we are focusing on sustainable energy production, and even we can focus on rural economic development as well. So actually through this facility, we can process up to 5 lakh tons of bamboo every year, and we can get 49,000 to 50,000 tons of ethanol per year. So it is a very huge and very big plant. Okay, yeah. And it is focusing on zero waste operation. And do you know that through this bamboo we can produce paper. Paper is produced by bamboo, and after producing that, whatever the waste is there, we can divert it into this ethanol, so that we can focus on zero waste. And it will be directly benefiting around 50,000 people through supply chain employment and as well as farming contracts. So with one plant only, it is supporting 50,000 plants. If you are expand such kind of ethanol based plants in every state, can we create enough employment? Can we decrease unemployment rate? Can we improve standard of living of people? Can we increase our GDP? Can we achieve our target? So in this way, you have to connect each and every point, guys. And why this plant is important? Assam is much of northeast India, which is having abundant bamboo resources here. And because of this, we want to transform local agriculture produce to advanced biofuel, so that we can reduce our environmental impact. And we will also support our program called as E20 program, that is E20 ethanol blending program, 20% of ethanol blending in petrol, so that we can address our climate goals and decreasing of carbon dioxide emissions to achieve this net zero. What is this net zero target? Amount of carbon dioxide emission is equal to amount of carbon dioxide absorbed is called as net zero, right? So we can achieve that target by 2070. And now farmers will be also getting direct contracts from this company, so that they will be having economic incentives and income security also. So that even our government is having one more ambitious goal, is doubling of farmers target or farmers income target. So actually it was by 2022, but our government drastically failed that. But this kind of programs can help to achieve that doubling of farmers income. Okay, yeah. So see this last article, guys. Silver of hope, an inclusive vision of conservation can protect more habitats. So this article is talking about one success of improving of uh, population of crocodile in India. It is talking about Project Crocodile, guys. So it is very, very important from your environment and ecology point of view. So this article is saying that recently one survey had been done on saltwater crocodiles in Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. Where is the Sundarban located? Sundarban is an example of mangroves, right? So these mangroves are very, very important for rich biodiversity. And this saltwater crocodile's main habitat is Sundarbans, which is located in West Bengal in India. And they went for this survey, and they find that there is rise in crocodile population of all ages, even small, medium, and adult. In all these crocodiles, there is increased population. That means we can understand that if you are focusing on this proper conservation process, obviously it will give suitable results. And why this is significant here is saltwater crocodiles are apex predators, and they will maintain ecosystem, and they maintain ecosystem as ecosystem regulators, and they maintain aquatic health, and they will consume carcasses. Carcasses is nothing but dead bodies in the water, so that they can control prey populations as well. And actually we are doing conservation of this crocodiles based on this Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Okay, and this project is Bagbatpur Crocodile Project. They came up with this project in 1976, and finally in 2025 we are seeing results of this. That means we need to have patience, we need to have tolerance for everything. So if you want to get the results immediately, it won't happen. So this is also one example which is focusing on that. And what are the challenges? Even today also we have certain challenges in this crocodile conservation, that is climate change is happening, and rising of sea levels is happening, and even salinity is changing. So normally whenever there is increasing of melting of glaciers, increasing of river water which is coming to the sea, obviously there will be decreasing of salinity levels. So the saltwater crocodiles cannot be sustained or cannot live in fresh waters. So because of this, it is having threats normally now. Yeah, and next one here is there is also increasing of human settlements, human encroachment in these water areas, and there is also increasing of conflict. So almost challenges are there. We have to overcome these challenges by taking necessary policies. Yeah, so see this last article. So this article is saying that how serious is the global plastic pollution crisis. So this article is saying that there is increasing of plastic pollution. Yes or no? Yes, right. So actually, every year we celebrate Environment Day on which day? June 5th, right? So on this June 5th, the theme of this year, June 5th, is ending plastic pollution and encouraging worldwide awareness and action against it. And even OECD also came up with global plastic outlook, and it said that there is significant increase of plastic usage. So we have to go for decreasing of plastic. Okay, and this article is saying that from just 2000 to 2019, 460 million tons of plastic waste generated in across the world. So because of this article is saying that we have to take proper steps to control this plastic. And many a times we discussed already about this plastic and plastic related impact. So see about or collect data about plastic production in our country and across the world, and how much amount of waste that we are generating in our country and as well as in the world, and how much amount of plastic we are going for recycling every year. You have to see that. And this one is what are the impacts of this plastic pollution, and next you have to see what are the steps taken by the government to control this plastic pollution in our country. So this article is saying that plastic pollution is a serious global environmental issue, and it is having significant impacts on ecosystem, sustainable development, human health, and there is also rapidly increasing of production as well as waste threatening oceans and climate. And please make a note of even plastic garbage, Pacific garbage patch, and even Indian Ocean garbage patch. So how much amount of the plastic had been settled in this Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean so far, and how it is having impact on marine animals also, very, very important. And this article is saying that we have to address this crisis as urgent as possible. So here we need to have international action. That means all countries need to come together and take proper steps, and even we have to focus on improving of recycling of this plastic, and we have to even focus on limiting of production of unnecessary plastics. and we have to even change the behavior of individuals regarding using of plastic. Recently plastic summit happened, right? So you have to connect with that plastic summit and what are the outcomes of this recent plastic summit. So connect like that. And actually India is not at all satisfied with that plastic summit. So we have two groups of countries, right? So what are they? So one group is favoring that we have to decrease this usage or production, but one group which are nothing but opaque based groups or like producing of plastics, they said that no, we can't reduce this production. So like that there is a conflict between these two groups that we discussed in our plastic summit class. So open your notes and revise. If you don't have notes, Google it and try to see that. Okay, so these are the important topics that happened in our today's Hindi newspaper. By this, I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And please do like this class and share this class to your friends. And do subscribe to Rathore Science Academy. Don't forget. And you can follow us on our Telegram channel and as well as Instagram page.